Just made you co-host, Aaron.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah, we should be good.
They always are. But I was looking
We're,
forward to this one. It's a fun topic we got here.
we're on a little bit early, so we'll let everybody get loaded up here. We'll try to start and make sure that we are respectful of y'all's time today. Middle of a Friday. Hope you guys have had a fantastic week. This is one of those the events or activities that I get to do every week or every month that I love. This is a passion of mine. This is something that I love to do is sharing scripture in a way that's different, something that we look at from a different perspective in a different way. Today's going to be fun because we're talking about abundance and scarcity or abundance and lack, how God's economy is way different than the world's economy or man's economy. So we'll give everybody a few minutes. We'll get them in, and then we will crank up today. Hopefully, you can take some notes. We also have, just so everybody knows, most of the calls that we're doing now, we have we have Bible studies that go along with them, and so we have sent those out by email in the past. I think they're going to try to do the same thing this time. A little short Bible study you could do with your family, you could do by yourself. But it gives you something to be able to go and start sinking into scripture. We know that transformation happens by the renewing of our mind. The only way that happens is if we change the way we think. So if we change the way we think, that's going to make a huge shift in the way that we see the world, see ourselves, see our businesses, see our friends, see our families, see our communities, see our church, see our nonprofit. It really does change the way that we do everything. While we're waiting, giving you a few minutes, I want to give you guys a helpful tip. Maybe that'll help you in not just in productivity, but in life in general. So I was watching a guy the other day, and he was talking about how uh, he knows he's addicted to social media, email, I don't know, whatever it is, right? Your phone going off, whatever it is, doesn't matter what it is. And he was talking about how one of the ways that he really brought it out to where he could not only just kind of talk about it and make sure that he got it out into his uh, just awareness was he went and he bought a little $10 timer off of Amazon. And so he bought a little dinky 10-minute timer, just something that would go buzz, think like a cooking timer, something like that. So what he would do is when he wanted to have a productivity time, he would take his timer, he'd set it off to the side. He would click the button for it to start so that it would start going just like just to add up the time that he's spending. He would start on whatever it is that he's doing. So let's say he's going to spend some time working on a website or doing some marketing or whatever it is that he's going to do, right? As soon as he looks at his phone, looks at social media, clicks off to do something different, he would hit the button. He would hit the button to see how long it took from the time that he started doing the productivity task until the time that he quit doing the productivity task to look at something else. And he said, I couldn't get past 2 or 3 minutes when he very first started. And he would feel like he had to go look at something else. His phone, his social media, the email went off. I don't know, whatever it was. And he said it was eye-opening to see how his brain, he had trained his brain to where it just bounced from one thing to the next and then back. We know they've done studies of this, that it takes 14 minutes every time you have a distraction in your life, whether it's you looking at social media, email, phone, whatever it is, while you're trying to be productive, it takes about 14 minutes for you to get your brain back on track and back at the same level that it was when you had the distraction. So take that tip, go use it in your life. Maybe it's Bible study time. Maybe it's prayer time. Maybe it's something else that you're doing in your life. And you're like, I wonder, because you're training your brain every day of this is the way I'm going to do things. And so as we look at what we're doing today, the one thing that we cannot buy back is time. Once time passes, it's over. Like it is done. And so as we look at abundance and scarcity today, as we really reflect on what it means to be looking at God's economy and not man's economy. We're going to kind of dig into this today and really we're going to look at we're going to talk about a few stories, and then we're going to look at one story that I think really shows how we can see abundance and lack, how people even around us can see abundance and lack really quickly. For many of you, this is going to be, uh, you're going to have these little moments where your brain's going to push back. Thoughts are going to push back. Well, is that really what I can do? Or is that really what I could have? Or is that really, right? Is that really possible? When you have those moments, write them down. What we're wanting to do is create and become aware of the times that we have flashes of what's going on in our subconscious, right? Our unconscious drives 80 to 90% of what we do every single day. So if unconscious is driving 80 to 90% every day, you know it's driving the bus, right? It's driving the bus. You go and you flip the light switch, you brush your teeth, you get ready in the morning. You may even drive to work and not remember the drive. I've done that a gazillion times. In fact, I've ended up other places sometimes. And I'm like, I didn't even set out to go drive here. Because we are so ingrained, because our brains, we've wired them in a way, right, where we have this unconscious working in the background all the time. When I first started driving a stick shift, right, I had to really think about pushing the clutch. And some of y'all, especially the kids that we have on calls nowadays, they don't even know what a stick shift is anymore. They don't even know what a clutch is anymore. I had a 15-year-old in my mastermind last week, and I was so proud of him. He said, I'm fixing up a 2004 Mustang. And I was like, really? And he goes, yeah, and it's a 5-speed. I was like, no way. You actually know how to drive a stick shift. I was going, this is awesome. So as you're looking at what you're doing, your subconscious is driving things. Pay attention to what it tells you today as we think about God's economy versus the world's economy. What is it pushing back against? What are the thought patterns that you have right now? What are the things that are driving the way that you think? Because the things that the beliefs that you have are going to drive the actions, which is going to drive you either to success or failure. It just will. If we, right now, I'm going through carnivore diet. We've been doing this now for about 6 months. Yeah, Andrew knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, Jim does too. I've been going through carnivore now for about 6 months. We're on a special diet plan for my wife's MS. I decided to do it with her. I've lost about, I think we're somewhere in the I'm 30 plus down and packing on lean muscle, working out, having so much. Oh, I love it. Great job, Andrew. Yeah, I love it. Like, this is the amazing part is I feel great. I have energy. I have all those things. Now, my belief when we started doing carnivore, for anybody that started, anybody that's looking at it, when I got the initial, like we'd go to Texas Roadhouse or we go wherever, and I would tell the little waiter or waitress, hey, I just want the steak. I don't want any sides. And they'd always look at you like, you're crazy. Like, you don't want a side, a potato, or I don't, whatever it is, right? Or some kind of fried something, or you don't want a salad. That's supposed to be healthy, right? The salad is supposed to, and I would tell them, no, I don't want any of that stuff. When I very first started doing it, my belief, my unconscious mind said, is this really the way this works? Because I was going, this is weird. Just eating the steak. I'd eat the steak. That was it. I found I was more full, more satisfied, had way more energy, didn't have the ups and downs, didn't have the other things that are going on. Guys, I got off of blood pressure meds a couple of years ago working out. I'm off of cholesterol medicine now because of all this. I just had my blood test done not too long ago, and they're great. Carnivore diet. I was like, are you serious? Just eating meat. Baffled me, right? But my brain, the belief I had was, oh, I need to be eating vegetables. I need to be doing this. I need to be doing that. It was fascinating. Now, that's just what's helped me. I don't know what helped you. I know it's helped me, my wife, and my daughter. I've watched it actually happen real time. It's fascinating. So as we go through abundance and lack today, pay attention to what your brain tells you. Some of y'all are going to hear carnivore diet and go, well, I can't afford steak every meal. Well, I don't do that either. I don't buy steak every meal because we see lack. We immediately go to the not, like, what we don't think's possible or what we don't have, right? So I want y'all to think about a couple things as we get into this today. and we talk about God's economy, and we talk about scarcity, lack, fear, all those things, the world's economy. We see it all around us right now. We're going to get into a couple of stories. Every day, you guys are telling yourselves a story. We make up the story of what's going on around us. It's fascinating to watch. Pay attention to how you see something, how your spouse, kid, friend, sister, brother, mom, dad see something. We all have different perceptions. So we all see things from a different story. Guess what? The story you're living in right now is completely made up by you. How you see the world, how you see life, how you see your family, how you see your church, how you see your ministry, how you see your job, how you see your coworkers, how you see your friends, how you see exercise, how you see spirituality. It's you literally are creating the story that you live in right now. The cool part about it is guess what we get to do? We can create any story we want. We really truly can create any story we want. You can create the story of being hugely successful. You can create the story of having great health. You can create the story of having great relationships and family. You can create the story of having a great relationship with God, something that's deep. And what's crazy is when we wire our brain to do those things, we literally start to see, right? We start to see things that we haven't seen. We're going to have a story about this here in a little bit. We start to see things differently. All right, I want to make sure today, guys, Aaron is on the call with us. He's one of my advisors. He's going to be hanging out with us today and doing stuff. So I want to make sure and introduce him to you. If you guys have questions through the call or there's something that comes up, make sure and tag Aaron. I'm going to let him say hi right quick so that you guys know who he is.
Awesome. Thanks, Cory. Hey guys, some of these faces I recognize from the community. Some of y'all I've actually talked to outside of the community, and a lot of new faces. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with you guys, and I am looking forward to it just as much as you guys are to hear this message and see how this applies to growth in our lives, for our families, for those around us. I definitely know some of you may have to hop off in the middle of this. If anybody does need to leave early, by all means, send me a direct message in the chat. I will give you a booking link. We're definitely going to give everybody here an opportunity that wants to learn more about this and have a personal conversation on what this would look like for you. So if you do need to leave early, that's okay. Just send me that DM. And for those of you here at the end, I'll give you that link as well, but also give you a really exciting update that we have coming into this program next month. So looking forward to kind of catching you guys on the tail end of this meeting. And it's a pleasure to meet you guys here and be here with everybody.
Yeah, when we sat down and started talking about what topic we want to talk about this month, it was pretty easy to start looking around. Guys, if you're, like y'all know, if you're paying any attention to the world right now, you have two different sides of the coin. Somebody sees everything as wrong, and some side sees everything as right that's happening. The story is the same. What's happening in the world right now is the same for both people. Whether you're watching TikTok and some 18-year-old that's giving you your news, or you're watching X and that's where you're getting your news, or you're watching some news channel, which fascinates me if people even still watch those things, or it doesn't matter. Like wherever you're catching the information in your life, you're going to be bent one way or another. You can believe whatever story you want to believe about what's going on in culture in the US, whatever. Like I know right now we have friends that are doing ministry in ways in the United States totally different. Totally different. Like we have a guy that's doing house ministry right now that's starting house churches. And they literally are outgrowing it so fast that they're having to start more house churches. Like they get so big that they can't fit in the house that they're in. And so they have to split out and do another house church, and they have to do another house church, and they have to do. What are you seeing in the world? Are you believing what you're being sold? Guys, look, every day we're being sold something. And guess what? You're selling something every day to the people around you. You just are. I want to give you a perfect example. If you look at Genesis, we go all the way back to the very beginning. We look at the garden. What's the one thing? What's the one thing that Adam and Eve lacked in the garden? It's pretty easy, right? Tree of knowledge, right? So if that's the one thing that they lacked, what did they focus on? Tree of knowledge. What did they have to walk by to get to the tree? They had to walk through the whole garden. Guys, have y'all ever thought about the fact that they walked by all of these other fruit trees, all of this other abundance? They literally walked by everything else that was available to them to get to the one thing that they lacked, because that's what they focused on. In life, that's kind of how things happen, right? We can either focus on the thing that we lack, or we can focus on the abundance that's all around us. So we're going to talk about the abundance today. We're going to talk about what that can look like for you in your life. And we're going to look at biblical scripture and go, this is what abundance really shows out like in scripture. I have a good friend this last week. I don't know if any of y'all have friends that got caught up in the Southwest Airlines layoff, but I have a good friend that lives right here in Lubbock, right down the street from me. Um, he actually is from youth ministry. 20 years ago, he and I did youth ministry together when I was up in Sherman, Texas, doing youth ministry work. He was a youth minister down in Dallas, Fort Worth. We used to go to camp together, all this stuff. He's worked for Southwest now for 22 years. Got laid off on Monday. Now, he and I haven't talked. I don't know, he may even be on this call today for all I know. The crazy part is Monday, his life completely changed, right? 22 years he's gone through. He's now elevated up. He's in management. He lived here in Lubbock. He would fly up to Dallas and spend time at the offices there, and he could be able to work here part-time. Um, Everything changed for him. New career now. He's going to have to look for a new career. Changes everything for his family. He's got a couple kiddos that are right around college age, end of high school, college age. He's going to have to figure all of that out. He's going to have to figure out whether he's going to look at this and go, is this an abundance thing, or am I going to live in scarcity and fear and lack? What is he going to see in this situation? Some of y'all may want to call and you're looking at the same exact thing in your life. You're looking at it going, man, maybe I have lost my job, or maybe I am dealing with some struggles, or maybe my business isn't where it should be, or whatever. Or maybe some of you are in that position to where the money's great. Money and all of that stuff is wonderful, but you're lacking in relationship, and you're lacking in connection, and you're lacking in all the other stuff. I'll give you a really good example. We know somebody right now that we see on a weekly basis. She and I were talking the other week. She's I don't know if y'all have ever heard of scraping. It's another technique like cupping for massage, where they put the cups on and they move them around to bring uh I guess energy back to that, blood flow back to that area of your body. Well, she does scraping for my wife. We've been trying it for her MS. And she was talking about the other day about these. I don't know if y'all have ever used one of those heavy blankets uh, people use to get. I don't know. It's like a comforting thing. For me, drives me crazy. Anybody else claustrophobic on this call? Like, that's me. Like, I'm claustrophobic. You put one of those weighted blankets on me, and I'm going, get it off now. She made the comment to me. This is a beautiful young lady, or I should say, a beautiful mid-aged lady that is. Uh, she has great career, great family. She's not married anymore. And she said, you know why I use the weighted blanket? Because I like the hug. Because she doesn't have anybody to hug her in her life every day. And it just, my eyes, it saddened me that here this lady has all of these great things going for her, but in the relationship part of her life, it's lacking. It's scarcity. We have a choice. We can believe whatever it is that we want to believe, and we can believe it even in the middle of having abundance, just like Adam and Eve. Just like Adam and Eve. They had abundance all the way around them. They literally had to walk by abundance to get to the scarcity. Some of you are having to do that right now. Some of you are ignoring all of the abundance around you, the friendships maybe that you have. Maybe you have great connection with your church. Maybe you're really involved in some nonprofit that you're super, like, really helping with. You're ignoring the abundance because we get caught up in other things. I would highly suggest, if you guys are not doing this, I would highly suggest you take a few minutes every day and write down some things that you're grateful for. Gratitude changes everything because it makes us focus on the good. We do an exercise at every single event that I hold. Every event that we've done in the last like 4 or 5 years, we've done this. When we get there, the very first thing, the very first morning, I'll have hundreds of marketers there. We're sitting down. We're excited. Everybody's hoorahing. We've had some music cranking, right? Everybody's like anticipating. And the very first thing I have them do is pull their phone out and write a gratitude text, or really, I encourage them to do this through voice text to somebody that's really important in their life. I would highly suggest all of y'all do that today. Who in your life could you send something that you're grateful about them directly to them to encourage them, help them, guide them? That's going to put you in the right frame of mind so that you can literally create, right? Remember, 80-90% of everything we do is unconscious. So if we're really focused on things that we're grateful for, we're wiring our brain to look for those things. We're wiring our brain to look for the things that are good and abundance and all that all the way around us. All right, guys, look, the story that we have, the story that you're carrying with you right now is all made up. You literally are carrying the story with you every day, everywhere you go. So as you're going about your daily life, the story that you have, the story that's happening right now, you're making up. Whether you believe that at this moment or not, sit down and really think about what I'm saying. And we're going to look at scripture because they had the same problem. There are people in scripture that had the same exact problem. And the things that they looked at in their life, they saw lack, fear, scarcity, when in reality, they really did have abundance. So if it's all made up, then God could literally change everything for you right now today. I was laughing. Somebody said the other day, they were like, I'm not really worried about, this is a guy that he got a great job. Everything's great. He said, I'm not really worried about money because if God wanted to blow a lottery ticket that's a winning ticket into my yard, he could. And I was like, well, that's a weird thought, but I guess he could. Here's what I've seen it work out in my life. There's been relationships that have come into my life that wasn't planned, that bless me in massive ways. There's been times when we've landed a client that I wasn't expecting, that we really needed, and then out of the blue, somebody reached out to me and boom, we got a new client. There's been times that money has come in that I wasn't expecting. Doors have opened for me that I wasn't expecting. What could that look like in your life right now? Maybe your business, maybe you need a new client. Maybe there's some things that need to change. Maybe in your career, maybe you've been looking for that next thing. Maybe you're looking for a side hustle. Maybe you're looking for maybe a raise or whatever it is. Like, are you looking for the abundance? If we have eyes for abundance, it changes everything around us. Are you walking through life right now just like Adam and Eve did, where you've got abundance all the way around you, but all you can focus on is the lack in the middle of the garden? That just fascinates me. They could have anything they wanted in that garden, except for the one tree. And that's what they chose. That's what they focused on. Y'all probably know people like this right now. You could probably go, oh, yeah, that's blah, blah, blah. Like, and don't say them out loud, right? Y'all probably know somebody right now that lives this way, right? That's a negative Nancy, right? Sorry for any Nancys that are on the call. Like, but that's the way they live life. Everything is always lack. Everything is always bad. Everything is always negative. When I worked in children's homes, we'd have kids come in, especially when I was working the girls' home in Wichita, we'd have kids come in and all they saw was lack. All they saw was bad. And not just them, their parents couldn't see the good that was in them. I was sharing the story with our team the other day about how there's a girl that came to us in the children's home. So these girls would come in and they'd have to interview, and then after they went through the interview, they would get either say yes or no, right? And then they would go through these family dynamic things that we would do where we'd bring the family and all that. This young lady had she had done a viral video and she had beat this girl like to they had to take the girl to the hospital in the middle of school, in the middle of the hallway. So this is the girl that's coming to me for me to interview that day with my team to see, is this somebody we want to bring in? Well, initially, like, what would you think? Would your mind be going, I don't want this girl on my campus? She, she probably going to beat somebody else to the hospital. This girl walks in, sweet kid. She walks in and sits down. I start talking to her, and I realize really quickly there's not a mean bone in this little girl's body. It wasn't her. There were other circumstances and other things that happened that drove this thing to happen. The little girl ended up at the children's home. We ended up caring for her for a pretty good while. She ended up going back with her family later. Had no problems out of her at all the whole time she was at the home. Everyone saw the lack. They were scared of her. There was fear of this little girl. And I'm sitting there looking at her going, I don't see that at all. All I see is a sweet young lady that ended up getting put in a really sticky, bad situation. The only way she knew way to get out of that was through what she ended up doing, which was going viral online on social media, which is just crazy to me. So, as you're thinking about what you look at in your life right now, pay attention. Are you a glass half full, glass half empty? Look, if you're going to be a business owner, you're going to have to see the potential opportunities. You're going to have to keep yourself focused on the things that you're grateful for, the things that allow you to expand your mind, right? So let's talk about some of those things that are that we've seen in our own lives. When I started doing digital storefronts, it's been over 10 years now. When I started doing it, guys, we were barely paying our bills. We had to borrow money to move back to Denton. We were barely paying our bills. We moved back, had to live in some scarcity for a while, some lack for a while. It was not fun. It was not pretty. It was pretty ugly, actually, to have to live in that and do that for the time that we were there. The crazy part is as we went through that, within about 7 months, we were at $10,000 a month in our digital storefront business. $10,000 a month to me was a massive amount of money. I'd only ever made 4 or 5 grand in a month as a CEO of a children's home. Like that was just a massive amount of money to me. Still a massive amount of money. Like 10 grand is a lot of money, right? And so I started making $10,000 a month, and then before long I was making 15. Before long we were doing 20 and 25 and 30. Within a year, we were at 35 to 40K a month, and then within about 18 months, we landed a $45,000 a month client. We were putting in our pockets about 35 of that 45 every month. That's abundance. Now, I had never made that kind of money. I don't know how many of you on this call have ever made that kind of money. I was like, what in the world do I do with this? How do I do taxes? Which I paid a massive amount in that year, right? These are all things that just my brain started to kind of try to fill in the blanks. How do I live this away? What I didn't realize is what happens if the $45,000 a month client leaves? Because 2 years later they did. And then I was left with 18 staff that I had to feed. There's a lot of sleepless nights. We were trying to figure out how to recoup everything, regrow everything, redo everything. Look, I went from, I think my first ministry job I had, I think I made like $17,000 a year. That was when I was 21. Definitely not rolling in the dough with 17 grand a year. It's pretty hard to take care of your family. When we started doing what we do now with digital storefronts, I literally went from doing 50 grand a year to making 50 grand in a month. And I was like, this is weird. It was just completely foreign to me. How do we make this shift? How do we make this change? Then that client left us. What's crazy is I'm telling you, I was stressed out, had a lot of sleepless nights. I didn't fire fast enough. I should have let go of some employees faster. I should have done some things differently looking back, because it caused a lot of issues with my family. We ended up having to spend money. I wanted one of those Peter moments, right? You guys probably all, look at it and go, man, I'd like to go fishing and pick up a fish and it have money in its mouth that I can just pay my taxes with, or pay my staff with, or pay my bills this month, right? I wanted to have one of those moments. That moment never came. But what did come is relationships came out of that ended up allowing me to have six-figure days. We'd never had six-figure days in our business, and we had six-figure days during that time because we had to come to grips with, we got to get creative and figure out different ways to do our business. It was crazy. This is before I ever started doing the training that I'm doing now. This was just me doing Rock Consulting, my agency. That was it. That's all I was doing at that point. Here we go from all of this to spending our savings to try to keep the business alive, to having to let like employees go, which I don't know about y'all, but like it breaks my heart every time I have to do something like that. It hurts. I get physically sick because it's something that for me is a like these people are trusting me, right? I lost friendships over that whole debacle. I didn't handle it the way I should have handled it. I've grown a lot since, or I hope I've grown a lot since then. And so as that kind of process went, I was seeing lack when really there was abundance around me. I just didn't know how to open my eyes and see it. Kind of crazy when we look through scripture. Have you guys ever thought about all the different stories? We're just going to touch on a couple of them today, and then we're going to sink into one in Numbers. Have y'all thought about the story of Elijah, right? He shows up, the woman's literally going out, she's picking up sticks because she has just a little bit of oil left, and she got a little bit of grains left. She's going to go make a cake or bake some bread or whatever it is. And she literally tells Elijah, I'm just picking up some sticks so I can go make a fire, so I can make some whatever it is, some cake, right? For my son and I to eat, and then we're just going to curl up and die. What did she see? There is definitely lack going on in her world at that moment. So, as you guys are seeing these scriptures, right, we're looking at the stories. What does Elijah do? He tells her, go, go make me a cake and let's eat. She goes and makes the last of what she has for him. Like, could you imagine that today? The tweet that would go out, or the Instagram post that would go out, or the whatever, right? Prophet of God asks widow to give up her last oil, right? You talking about a story headline hook. He goes and does that, and guess what happens? It gets renewed, and it gets renewed, and it gets renewed, and it gets renewed. God provides. God provided provision for her, Elijah, and her son, and it just continues. Or um what about feeding the 5,000? Story we're very familiar with, right? What did the disciples see? Lack or abundance? They saw lack. They saw scarcity. They were fearful. They were like, how are we going to feed all these people? They're all following us. What are we going to do with them? Jesus looks around and goes, find me a snack pack. Find me, find me a little basket of food. That's all I need. Right? Ends up feeding not just all those people, but they had all this abundance left even after that. Everybody was full. They were still picking up stuff and putting it back in baskets. Abundance, where people saw lack. I'm sure the people that were following him saw the lack. They were probably wondering, how are we going to eat today? A lot of those people were struggling financially. A lot of those people were, that's why they were following. They were trying to figure out, how do we get out of this struggle that we're in? Right? Or what about the widow that loses her son to slavery? Right? That's what's about to happen to pay the debt of what the husband had left behind. Elisha shows up and says, hey, go find all the oil jars that you can get from your neighbors. They go find all the oil jars. She starts pouring out of her oil jar, which wasn't supposedly full. She fills all these oil jars up. She's able to go sell that oil, and she ends up paying the debt off. Again, abundance. What did she see? Lack. What did he see? Like, she literally was sitting there about to give her son up for slavery to pay the debt that was owed. Now she's seeing going from lack to abundance, right? Or what about Jesus turning water into wine? It's one of those miracles we talk about, but we talk about it in a different way. Like, Jesus didn't have to do that. It wasn't something that saved a life or healed somebody, or right. What it did is it saved the reputation of that family, right? That's really what he did. And not only did he turn water into wine, he turned water into the best wine they had had at that marriage festival, right? Like, this was a feast. After they drank everything else, all of a sudden they're bringing out the best wine that Jesus created out of nothing. It's literally going from lack. It's a different economy, guys. Like, we see this, we know this, we look at it in scripture. What did we start with? We have a story that we believe about the way life should work or does work, and we either live in that story or we change the story. We change the story by changing the belief. We change the story by changing the way we think. It's by the renewing of our minds. That's what Scripture tells us, right? Is it's by the renewing of our minds. All right, do we think that God's the same today as he was back then? If we do, why aren't we sinking into that? Why aren't we believing that? Why aren't we believing that he can change anything in our lives today just instantly? If we lived that way, how would things look different? I used to tell my kids when I was doing youth ministry, I was like, look, if you guys believed that God heard your prayers and that God answered your prayers, sometimes it was no, right? Sometimes it's maybe, sometimes it's yes. But if you believe he heard and listened to your prayers, would you pray more? Well, yeah. I mean, the kids, man, they're just real with you, right? Teenagers just tell you. They just whatever's coming out, it just right comes out the mouth, right? And they were always like, yeah, man, I believe that. Yeah, I would pray more. And of course, I'd ask them, well, why don't you pray more? Like, if we truly believe that God is the God that did all these things all through this time, that he sent Jesus, rose him from the dead, we believe all of the things that we say we believe. Are we living like that? Do we see the abundance? Are our eyes being open to really what's going on around us? It's God's economy versus the world's economy. It just is. So let's look at a story. You guys are very familiar with this. I've actually done a Kingdom call on this. If you guys have never gone back and listened to the Kingdom Impact calls, I have them all on our YouTube channel. You're welcome to go back through those. Would love to get input, thoughts, ideas, what you got out of them, golden nuggets, all of that kind of good stuff. When the children of Israel left Egypt, they had to leave behind all of the things like their animals, right? Anything that was something that would actually create more wealth. Now, we know they had some stuff with them, right? We know that they had to have some gold with them. They made a golden calf out of it, right? We know that they had to have some things with them. They took some things with them, but we also know they had to leave a ton of stuff behind. They get out in the middle, right? They go to the mountain, right? We have that whole scene with Moses and Aaron doing the calf and all this stuff. And within a couple of weeks, they end up at the promised land and they send the 12 spies in. They send 12 people in, and these guys are supposed to go check it out, see what's going on, and then they're supposed to come back and give a report. And you guys, I mean, y'all know the story, right? Y'all know the story how the different people saw different things. Two of them came back, and what did they see? Abundance. And the other 10 came back, and what did they see? Lack, scarcity, fear, giants. That's all they saw. And it was the same land, same place, same stuff, right? It's no different than when David was standing on the battlefield with Goliath. For 40 days, Goliath came out. 40 days. The army could have went and did something about it. David shows up and he's going, nope, you're not doing that to my God. You're not saying that about my God. Same guys seeing the same exact scene, same exact thing, right? So we're going to look at Numbers 14 real quick. Let me share my screen. We're going to read through this whole chapter. I want y'all to hear this chapter. I want you to pay attention to what is being said and what is being done in this chapter. Let me move everything around so I can see it here on the screen. All right, Numbers 14. I'm going to read it in the Message. I think it's a very, especially with this one, this passage, as you hear some of the words, pay attention to who looks at lack, who looks at abundance. Pay attention to not just who, but how that influences all the people. Because guess what? You're influencing the people around you and they're influencing you. They just are. And are you hanging around people that are influencing you in a good way? So, whole community was in an uproar, wailing all night long. This is after the spies had come back. All of the people of Israel grumbled against Moses and Aaron. Entire community was in on it. Why didn't we die in Egypt? Are we in this wilderness? Why has God brought us to this country to kill us? Our wives and our children are about to become plunder. Why don't we just head back to Egypt and right now? They were done. They were like, this is craziness. I don't want to do this. Like they immediately saw the lack. They bought into the 10 spies, what they had to come back and say. Immediately. Immediately, this should be sending alarm bells off in your minds about what you're around, who you're around, what you're watching, what kind of information that you're paying attention to every day. 10 people influenced all of them. 10. Soon they were all saying it to one another. Let's pick a new leader. Let's head back to, let's get rid of Moses. He's apparently not doing a great job. Let's dump him. Even though, are y'all thinking about this? Guys, look, how many miracles already happened? They literally crossed the Red Sea. They did all of this stuff miraculously. They were dancing, singing, having the good old time. They literally saw Moses come off the mountain shining. They literally saw God come down on, like, all of this. And they're going, oh, no, we don't want Moses anymore. Right? They see lack. They see scarcity. Moses and Aaron fell on their faces in front of the entire community, gathered in emergency session. They fell on their faces. They literally knew what was important. Show of respect, sign of feeblesy, sign of humility, right? Joshua, son of Nun, and Caleb, right? Both of these guys were the two. These guys were the two that went and said, nope, we see a totally different way, right? Members of the scouting party ripped their clothes and addressed the assembled people of Israel. The land we walked through and scouted out is a very good land, very good indeed. If God will be pleased with us, he will lead us in this land, a land that flows, as they say, with milk and honey. He'll give it to us. Just don't rebel against God and don't be afraid of those people. Why? We'll have them for lunch. They have no protection, and God is on our side. Don't be afraid of them. But up in arms now, the entire community was talking about hurling stones at them, literally about to kill the two guys that are going, look, do you guys not realize? Like, do y'all remember how this story, when they come back, it literally took two dudes carrying one cluster of grapes. That's the abundance that they literally pulled out when they came back. Just then, the bright glory of God appeared at the tent of meeting. Every Israelite saw it. God said to Moses, how long will these people treat me like dirt? How, how long refuse to trust me? And with all these signs I've done among them, I've had enough. I'm going to hit them with a plague and kill them. But I'll make you into a nation bigger and stronger than they ever were. God's like, I'm done. Bunch of whiny, griping, negative Nancy's, right? He's like, I'm done. I'm done dealing with it. Moses said to God, the Egyptians are going to hear about this. You delivered this people from Egypt with a great show of strength. And now this, the Egyptians will tell everyone. They've already heard that you are God, that you are on the side of this people, that you're present among them, that they see you with their own eyes in the cloud that hovers over them, in the pillar of cloud that leads them by day, and the pillar of fire at night. If you kill this entire people in one stroke, all the nations that have heard what has been going on will say, since God couldn't get these people into the land, which he had promised to give them, he slaughtered them out in the wilderness, right? Moses basically says, this isn't going to be a good look. You go kill all these people. This is going to get back to the Egyptians and the other countries. They're going to come after us. This is not going to be great, right? Now, please let the power of the master expand and enlarge itself greatly along the lines you've laid out earlier when you said, God, slow to get angry and huge in loyal love, forgiving iniquity and rebellion and sin. Still, never just whitewashing sin, but extending the fallout of parent sins to children in the third and even the fourth generation. Please forgive the wrongdoing of this people out of the extravagance of your royal love, just as all along from the time they left Egypt, you've been forgiving this people. God said, I forgive them, honoring your words. But as I live, and as the glory of God fills the whole earth, not a single person of those who saw my glory, saw the miracle signs I did in Egypt and the wilderness, and who have tested me over and over and over again, turning a deaf ear to me, not one of them will set eyes on the land I so solemnly promised to the ancestors. Not one, no one has treated me with such repeated contempt will see it. My servant Caleb, he's a different story. He's a different spirit, follows me passionately. I'll bring him into the land that he scouted, and his children will inherit it. I hope that's you. I hope everybody on the call, whether you're watching this today or you're watching this back on a replay, I hope that's you. I hope you're Caleb. I hope you're passionately following God. I hope you're the one that he goes, that person has a different spirit. That person is the one that's excited and doing the things that I want them to do, right? Since the Amalekites and the Canaanites are so well established in the valleys, for right now, change course and head back into the wilderness, following the route to the Red Sea, right? So they have this conversation. The people are grumbling. God says, you guys need to turn around. Y'all need to go back into the wilderness. I'm just going to waylay everybody. I'm going to kill everybody in this generation because over time, I do not want them to representing me because they are not passionate about what we're doing. It's interesting that he only points out Caleb right here, right? They'll go on and he keeps on talking. At some point, Moses down here, they talk about the 40 years, right? All the stuff. Down here in verse 36 says, so it happened that the men Moses sent to scout out the land returned to circulate false rumors. These guys, these 10 guys are still doing this. They're still going being this virus inside the Israelite people. They're just picking, man. They're going out and they're saying things and they're stirring up rumors and they're stirring up stuff. If there isn't any more direct correlation with what's happening in our world today, right here, people stirring up junk on social media, people stirring up junk in their circles, people stirring up junk, like it's just constant. It's just constant, right? So what does God do? Yeah, they were stirring it up, causing the entire community to grumble against Moses. All these men died, having spread false rumors of the land. They died in a plague, confronted by God. Only Joshua and Caleb, that was it. They were the only two that were left. They were only two that were left out of those 12. Early the next morning, a bunch of the people decided that they're going to go ahead and go into the promised land anyway, even though God told them to go the other direction. They already missed the opportunity. They missed it. They're not going to have it now. They missed the opportunity. They went. They end up getting routed and getting beat down and coming back and catching Moses later. Now, man, there's so many correlations that we can pull from all of this. Like there's so much gold in this. There's so much meat in this. There's so much goodness in this that we could pull and talk about right now in the way our world works and what's happening in the world today and really what we need to be doing. God's economy said, you shouldn't be like, focus on the things that are going to be what I can do for you. Joshua, Caleb, like that is literally what they were seeing. The rest of these guys, all they saw was lack. All they saw was giants. All they saw was fear. That's it. Their grumbling ends up literally making all the Israelites grumble. They influenced everybody. Before we move on, I just want to ask, who in your life is that person? We've all had them. Sometimes it's been me. Sometimes I had to do a checkup from the neck up, right? And go, that doesn't need to be me. That I don't need to be that guy. And I definitely don't want those people in my life on a daily basis spouting that kind of garbage into my life. I don't need that. I don't want that. I'm hoping that you're drawing boundaries in your life to say, no, I'm not allowing those people into my life in a way that's going to influence me or the people that I'm hanging around with. God says, nope, not putting up with that. Takes out the 10 spies and says the 2 are going to get to go. So, are you griping, grumbling, whining? Are you seeing the giants? Are you seeing all those things in life? Are you seeing the abundance around you? Are we recognizing where God is bigger than everything else? Are you living in faith or are you living in fear? That's really what this boils down to. Let me share a little bit about the promised land I see coming. We're going to shift gears a little because here's what I see. Some of you are standing on the edge of the promised land, looking in, going, let me see what I see. Some of y'all have ventured in a little bit. Maybe you got beat down a little bit. Maybe things have not gone as well as you thought they would. I've had that experience. I, I know what that feels like. Some of y'all have had abundance and you've had a really good run, which is great. And y'all are looking for the next land to go conquer. the next place that's going to be flowing with milk and honey, the next place that's going to have grape clusters so stinking big it takes 2 men to carry them. That's not what you see in Panhandle of Texas where I'm at. That's, there's no grape clusters that big. Some of y'all are looking for that kind of opportunity. They had to leave all the stuff that would have been revenue creating, which remember, they had an agrarian society, right? They were farmers, they were ranchers. Remember when Joseph brought all of his people, right, his family, they brought their sheep, they brought all that stuff into the land. They were given the most fertile land as they grew and multiplied. That's what they did. They didn't have any of that stuff, and they were looking ahead, trying to figure out now what do we do? How do we make a living? How do we take care of our families? How do we do that? Have y'all, I don't know if y'all have ever paid attention to this. It wasn't too many years ago, like 100 years ago. My understanding is that in the US, there was somewhere right around 80% of all the people that were actually entrepreneurs. They owned their own business. 80% of all of the economy, everything that's happened in the US, they were business owners. You can imagine what that is now today, right? The amount of business owners compared to the amount of employees, like it's itty bitty. They say that only about 4% of all people are really wired to be entrepreneurs, wired to be in today's society. Back then, it might have been you were a farmer, a rancher, or whatever, and that's how you took care of your family, and you were able to trade and create income and right all the things. You guys are standing right now looking into the promised land, and let's talk about what is happening in the workplace. You guys are seeing layoffs like crazy right now. It's happening in every industry. I had a mentor of mine the other day say that he brought somebody in that is a AI consultant, had them work with just one of his staff members. They cut 60 something percent of her workload out with just AI. Now, the way he looks at it is that freed up 60% for this employee to now to be able to go do all this other stuff in my business to help me grow my business. He didn't fire the staff. He sees abundance using AI inside of his business, not lack, not fear, not scarcity. He sees abundance. When we look at what's happening with the way AI is changing everything, the way businesses are having to shift right now, there are college kids right now. Maybe there's college kids on this call. You guys know I do college ministry. That's where I spend almost all my time. I've been with kids almost every day this week in some form or fashion. We've either had them here at the house or we've been at ministry stuff or whatever. There are college kids that are going through degree programs right now that by the time they get out, the job that they have been going to school to learn to go do won't even exist. Have y'all thought about that? Like they're spending all this money and all this time and all this energy and all this stuff creating a, a skill set that when they get out of college, I know it cost us about $250,000 at least to send Lexa to college for the years that she went, our daughter. Some of these kids are going to come out with $150,000, $200,000 in debt, and their job is not even going to exist. It's not even going to be there. The world is changing around us, and we know it. You guys seen it. You're seeing it. Marketing is changing. What I do in just the one thing I do in marketing has changed. Even the epoxy business. Many of y'all, if y'all been following me for long, y'all know I own an epoxy company too. Do y'all know that they already have robots out that I could actually buy that could go install the epoxy floor for me? They already have it. It's already out. It's not like it's coming. Guys, it's not coming. It's already here. It's already changing things. So many jobs, they're saying right now like 40 to 50% of all the jobs that are out there right now are going to disappear by 2030. The current jobs. Now, when I say these things and I bring these stats to you or we talk about these things, is your mind immediately going to abundance and seeing the opportunity? Or are you living in scarcity going, oh no, what's going to happen? My job might go away. My skill set might go away. I may not have the things that I need to move forward because we literally can see either story that we want to see. We can see lack, we can see abundance. Totally up to us, totally up to you what you're going to see right now. If we want to go see a land of flowing milk and honey, we want to see the things that we're doing. Guys, you're on the right call today. Because here's the truth. AI is opening up so many opportunities right now. It is unreal. I went through an exercise with one of the training groups that I have. We have a group called Kingdom Collab that I teach every other week, me and another trainer. And we teach about business and principles and mindset, and we teach all these different things. Last night, I went through a whole process with them in an hour where we got crystal clear on what their business does, and they can create a whole business plan out of that in seconds with AI. We used AI to do what we did last night, and I showed them how to use AI to create everything that they need to create to move their business forward. It was literally that fast. We live in a time right now where there are going to be more millionaires made than probably ever before in my life. We live in a time right now where there's more abundance available to us. It's just getting fun. And some people are scared out of their minds about what's about to happen. And I'm looking at it going, guys, we literally are on the edge of the promised land, looking at it going, there's going to be people that are skilled up in a way that can leverage and take advantage of this stuff in a way that's never happened, ever happened. Because all you have to learn are a few skills that can be leveraged with AI. Because here's the deal with AI. I don't know how many of y'all spent very much time with it. And I don't care which one you love. It's like Ford and Chevy and Dodge right now. Like everybody's fighting for all of the stuff and they're bringing this out and that out. And, Chat GPT has been kind of leading with this and DeepSeek came out and then Grok 3 just released and blah, blah, blah. Perplexity and Gemini, you name it. There's a gazillion of them, right? You can't keep up. That's a world right now to where people are either seeing abundance or they're seeing scarcity. Even in the AI world. Because some of the things that people started initially working within AI now has already changed. And they're already having to learn a new skill set. Here's the truth. Guys, look, AI is only as useful as the person running it. And it always will be. You have emotion. You have thoughts that AI is not going to have. You have creativity. You have all of these things, all of this ability to bring something to the table that AI will never do for you. It just won't. AI is only useful if we use it, right? When we take and we put it together in a certain way and combine a certain, like last night, we went through multiple steps. I had all the students do one thing inside of one document and then take that and use a prompt over here with chat. And then we were going to use chat to do some other stuff. It it only works because we put the thing together. We came up with the process. We came up with the thing. But you've got to have a skill set. Guys, if you're not learning a skill set right now that's going to allow you to grow, you're going to get left behind. We all need to have skill sets that we're learning. I'm learning skill sets. You guys know if you follow me for very long, I am not a techie. That is not my gift. And yet, I am loving what I'm getting to do with AI right now across all my businesses. I'm doing KPIs and critical drivers. I'm doing budgeting. I'm literally using it for SOPs. I'm using it to create sales trainings. And I'm using it to create all these different things for all these different businesses that I have. It's amazing to watch. And it can figure it all and do it all just like that. You got a choice right now. You can see abundance or you can be scared. Some of you on this call are going to take action in a way in the coming months that's going to radically change your life because you see abundance. Some of y'all are going to continue to live with your head buried in the sand. And at some point, some of these jobs that we think are so secure right now are going to go away. The cool part about it is when one job goes away, guess what? There's a bunch of others that open up. You just have to have the skill set to go do the thing. Marketing is shifting. What I do for a living in marketing is shifting. And it's shifting in a pretty big way right now that there's a massive opportunity. Massive opportunity. The online skills are not going away. They're just going to get stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And you need to be just like the Israelites. You're either going to surround yourself with the two spies that get it and see abundance, or you're going to surround yourself with all the naysayers that are griping and complaining and whining, and they're seeing all the giants and they're seeing all the reasons why we can't go do this. It's a community. We've built a community, and Aaron's going to attest this. Like, we've built a community that's like no other. We built a community that when somebody, like somebody put in there the other day something about praying together, they were talking about their parent or something that was going on, and everybody started jumping in and going, what can we do for you? How can we pray for you? What can we help you with? That's the community that we built. Not a community where it's all about money and this and that, and it's just businessy and all that. Like, this is a community where people literally like, we literally have women that meet on a weekly basis and pray together. That's all they do. That are all met within my community. We have people RVing together right now that are from our community that are just out RVing around the world. They're like, hey, we met each other, we know each other, da 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 da, and they just started going out and doing RVing. Like, it's crazy the things that we've seen. So here's the deal: abundance or scarcity, like, it's your control. You can tell yourself that whichever story you can believe, whichever story you can buy into, whichever story you want to buy into. I don't know about you guys. I want to see abundance. I want to continue to see the opportunities that are around me and in this world. I asked the other day inside of one of my, is in our free group. I asked, if you had AI right now as a business partner, how would you use it? And one of the guys wrote in there, maybe you're on the call this day. One of the guys wrote in there and literally said, I would help, I would use it to spread the word of Jesus. And I'm like, that's already happening. It's happening right now, guys. Like, so we've taken pieces of AI, put it together inside of DSF to help speed the process up. Content creation, social media. I've been dropping prompts like crazy for people to be able to write email campaigns and do all these different things inside their businesses to speed things up and make it easier. There is really coming right now. There is literally no easier time for you to start a side hustle than today, if that's what you want. Or to level up your skills where you as a career or you as a business owner in your own business, I own multiple business. I own a lot of different businesses. Like, I'm having to level up my skill set in each one of the businesses so that I can take that business to where it needs to go. Because the reality is there's no ceiling right now online. There just isn't. Now with my epoxy flooring, I can only do so many jobs. I only have so many crews. I can only, right? Oh, so much equipment. But online, there's really not anything. There's like no ceiling. You want to make $1 bazillion, however much that is, there's no ceiling. If you just want to be able to create a couple extra $1,000 a month, that's totally doable. There really is literally no ceiling. There's no anything. You're in a position to where you can do what you want to do if you're willing to put the effort out. But you got to continue to see abundance. You got to make sure that you're doing that. Some of you, maybe DSF, maybe digital storefronts is the answer for that. Look, some of you are already in DSF that's on this call. I can see your names. I know who you are. Love having you in there. Appreciate you showing up for these calls. This is fun for me. And I hope this is encouraging to you. I hope today you guys look at your circles and you decide, who do I want to be around? I hope you guys look at what you're doing. I hope you guys catch yourself today when you see lack or you see fear or you see doubt and you go, wait, what? Am I going to continue to believe that, or am I going to move away from that? Because the reality is we all have a choice. So for anybody that wants to learn more about digital storefronts, we haven't done this before. We really wanted to do this right now because right now is it is an abundant time. It just truly is. There is no scarcity in me in the sense that we're going to continue to have abundance inside the online marketing world for a long time. There will always need to be marketing. It may look different. It may not have the same tactics, techniques, skills, that we have now. But as we learn new skills, we upgrade, we continue to do all of that. We continue to leverage our time and our energy and all those things. So here's what I want to do. For any of you guys that want to learn more about that, Aaron kind of popped on at the very beginning. He's one of our top advisors. He's been with me for a long time. He's going to talk a little bit about one of the really cool things that we have coming up in March. We're doing something in March we've never done. Like we're literally offering something to do because we're seeing the need for people to have community. And we're building it stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger because we want to see so many people win. Because I know this. I get enough people that are like Caleb and Joshua. Guess what we get to go do? We get to go into the promised land. We get to go do things that nobody else can do. We get to go live in ways and we get to go share the kingdom. We get to go grow things in ways. We get to do all those things in ways that no one else is doing because we put the work in, we put the time in, we do the belief, right? We have the passion for what it is that we're doing and where we're going. God's called you guys to some big things. There's people on this call right now that have huge things that you have been called to go do. Maybe this is the vehicle that you need to go do that. So I'm going to turn it over to Aaron, let him kind of chat with you a minute about some of the cool things that we're doing. And then, and then he's going to give you guys a couple of links. Look for the Bible study and some of the other stuff. Make sure you guys drop in comments inside of our group. Go watch the YouTube channel. We'd love to have feedback on all that. But Aaron, take it over, man.
Awesome. I love the land of milk and honey is such an exciting message to talk about. And I really loved, the understanding of having the importance of people around you that are like-minded, that have similar goals, similar mindsets, have the faith, have the discipline, more Jacobs and more Calebs. What Cory guys was alluding to here next month, and we already have a community where you will have a multitude of counselors around you, supporting you, helping you on this journey. This is nothing anybody does by themselves, and if anybody has tried to get to a land of milk and honey all by themselves before, they've realized how difficult that was. But we wanted to open up another avenue, where you can really get those kind of people around you, because one of the hardest things that somebody could undertake when they're learning something new is to really have the discipline and have accountability and have follow through, with their decision. So many people can start things and they don't have the follow through to really get to that land of milk and honey. So what we're going to be starting next month, guys, and I already dropped a link in the chat. So if anybody wants to chat with our team more specifically about digital storefronts and this opportunity, and just get behind the curtains on everything, by all means, take a look at that link in the chat and hop on. We would love to talk with you. No pressure. You don't have to make any commitments in that call. Let's just get you behind the curtains and have a real conversation about what this process could look like for you. But what you're going to be stepping into next month, we are going to be opening up something that's new for us. We're calling it virtual office hours. All right. And really what that is an opportunity to sit down in a call like this. You made a promise to yourself. If you make a decision to do this, to learn something new, build something new for your family, for your ministry, to support your church, really fill up the cup and get to a cup runneth over season. And we want to get more people around you in the community that are thinking that way, that want to have some accountability, that want to increase their own self-discipline. So these virtual office hours, guys, we're going to be offering these throughout the week. And it's just going to be an opportunity to jump into a meeting on Zoom. We'll talk a little bit for 5 minutes, but then everybody's going to go on mute. And we're going to just be disciplined and do the work that we need to do for our families, for our growth, for our communities, for our nonprofits, for our missions. Like I said, a cup runneth over season is what we are focused helping you get to here. And there's a reason why Cory didn't ask about what your dream cars are and what's your dream square footage home. There's bigger things here that we're focusing on, and we're going to create another avenue for you to just show up and focus on zoning. Whether you start the timer that Cory talked about in the beginning of this session, whatever you need, it is turn on time to start implementing and doing things that are going to have a real impact in your world tomorrow. All right. And guys, we know, again, this is a big decision. Some of you, again, probably have tried things online. I'm sure we've got Amway that's gone through here and all sorts of other things that people have tried. Guys, this isn't anything with levels. This is a real skill set that you will learn. This will be a continued education. like Cory said, we will continue teaching you what is working today and tomorrow so that you could really build a business and build a revenue stream that you could rely on and that can give you a much healthier work-life balance as you build that income. And we know for many of you here, time is maybe more important than the bank account. Maybe some of you guys have a lot of money in the bank account, you don't have the time, or a lot of your goals are focused on, "Oh, I need to make the money and get out of this job so I could put those hours into what God's put on my heart." All right. So, guys, we can talk to you about the business model more personally. Again, we'll drop the link in here again just to give you an opportunity to have that chat with us and give us the opportunity to have that conversation with you. There isn't any pressure on that call, right? Let's just have a brother to brother, sister to sister, brother to sister conversation about what this land of milk and honey looks like, what those grapes taste like. Let's get those in your hands a little bit and see if God led you to this. And of course, guys, if he led you to this, he's gonna lead you through it. All right, you may have to dodge some fiery darts coming at you, right? If God led you to this, you know the devil's at work, whispering all sorts of stories into your mind. But Cory really stood on the kinds of stories we need to be telling ourselves today, the kind of ways we need to look at this, the way God wants us to look at this, so that he could really get a hold of us as a vessel and grow and do more for our families and more for the kingdom. So I saw some questions in the chat. Some people were like, "What is the business? What is that vehicle?" Um, Talk with us about it. All right. Whether you have a background in this or not, that is okay. There aren't prerequisites, except you need to be humble and willing to learn and willing to raise your hand and ask questions and go arm in arm with your brothers and sisters so that we can grow stronger together. All right. We don't compete with each other here, guys. We lift each other up, we edify each other, we grow stronger together. And if that's a kind of community that you feel like you could grow and learn and flourish in, have a conversation with us. All right. It would be our absolute pleasure to see if this is something that you could really get in your hands for you, for your family, and for those around you as well. All right. So the link is in the chat. Hop on it. We've got lots of available times, guys. You have a quick application to fill out, and then we are just going to have a honest conversation with you about what is possible when you can trust this process with us, and if you're really open to learning and applying yourself to something new. That's all it is. It's just learning something new here, guys, that could really have a big impact on the next season of your life. So I hope to talk with you. We've got a great team behind me as well. And if when we see you on the other side, Cory is here helping people all the time. We've got amazing teachers, the people running our classes are pastors, they're doing the business themselves. This is a really, really strong community where we want to see you grow and see you accomplish your goals. And let's get into that land of milk and honey and surround ourselves with as many Jacobs and Calebs as possible, because those are the people who were promised to get in there with their families and their descendants. So let's do this for our families. Let's do this for our legacy, that's coming behind us. And again, we just hope we have the opportunity to have that chat. Thanks, Cory.
Yeah, can you drop the link back in? Somebody's asking, they don't see the
Yep.
link in the chat. Guys, look,
I,
bottom line, as you are looking at whatever you guys decide to do, whether you guys, because I've had a few people that are private messaging me too. It sounds like some of y'all live up here around me. I love it. There's no lack inside of what I get to do. There's no scarcity inside of what I get to do. We have opportunities to be able to do business in ways that it doesn't matter if you're located in some little tiny town in the middle of nowhere, or if you're located in some huge city, does not matter. The way what we do literally works is completely different. There's abundance in all of that. So thanks for sharing all that, Aaron. Look, we're super excited
yeah.
about these virtual office hours. This is something that we've seen work in other trainings that we're like, look, this is something we want to bring to our staff. And what's really neat about it is we have volunteers inside of our group that are like, look, I want to do this. I want to be able to be a part of this and volunteer and help. So if you're on the call today and you're one of our students that wants to help with that, we would love to have as many people as we can get into that. We have people from Europe that are going to be doing it on a different time zone. We have people in Australia going to be doing it in a different time zone, so that there's multiple time zones, multiple opportunities in all kinds of different places. So you guys don't have to worry about, like, we have people all around the world that are in our training, um, which is kind of cool. We have over 2,000 students spread around the world that all have a kingdom mindset wired directly into them. And I love that. I love that that's what I get to do on a daily basis. So I hope today you're looking at what it is that you're like. I hope to really, as you kind of went through all of this today, whether you're looking for an opportunity, whether you're just looking to kind of figure out what it is that you want to do with your life moving forward, you guys see all of the shifts and changes right now as abundance. There's literally going to be opportunities. There's going to be millionaires made in this year that probably have never even done the things that they're going to be doing this year because of the shifts and changes that are happening. And you may have some unique talents that you can bring to the table, whether it's DSF or something else, that's going to be able to change your life in a way just because of your story, your history, your experiences, your life, right? Just like a testimony that's going to allow you to use AI, allow you to use marketing, allow you to use whatever it is, the skill set that you're learning to grow in ways for your family, leave a legacy. You know, Proverbs says, right? Our goal is to leave, right, inheritance to our kids' kids. I couldn't do that on $17,000 a year as a youth minister. It wasn't working. I needed something bigger, more. I needed to be able to make impact. And so I'm looking for people that want to make impact. So if that's you, make sure, jump in. If you guys are watching this later on our YouTube channel, we're going to put a link down below. Go to that link. We want to talk to you. Like, we're serious about finding the right people. We don't just let anybody into the training. We want to find the right people. We want to find people that are focused on doing the things that are really going to make impact in this world. We want to help you as many ways as we possibly can. Thank you guys for joining us on a Friday afternoon. We know you gave up some time here. Maybe it's your lunch hour. Maybe it was just you sat on the side of, I see people all the time that's sitting on the side of the road watching these calls, and I'm like, oh my goodness. We appreciate you. Thank you. Thank you for spending. I hope this was a blessing to you today. I hope you find abundance in everything that you're doing today. I hope you guys sink into life with God in a way that just creates and opens your eyes to the fact that it's a land of milk and honey, that there are grape clusters so big that it's going to take two men to carry those suckers, that you guys have opportunity in front of you that can change everything about your life this year, not 5 years from now, not 10 years from now, this year. I'm going to leave you with one story. We'll close this thing out. I had a mastermind last week, had a young lady that showed up. She's in her 20s, husband. They got two little munchkins. They got one little boy that is just a spitfire, man. He does these crazy YouTube or crazy reels and videos and stuff. Cutest kid ever. So they come, they show up, they learn, they go back home. She doesn't have a whole lot of time. She's very involved in her church. She kind of works part-time for the church that she's in. She also has those kids that she takes care of. She let me know yesterday, or let me know Monday, I think it's Monday or Tuesday, that she's already set 4 appointments this week. And she was fearful of doing this when she got here last week. And she said, I've already set 4 appointments. I'm so excited. Like, she is pumped. They have goals that are huge. They want to go spread the gospel in a way that I have no other student that's wanted to go do it. And I'm like, let me help you. I want to get you to success. I'm pumped to see her succeed this year. That's the way I feel about every single student. That's what I want for every single person on this call. Whether you're a part of our group or a part of another, I want you to succeed. The more kingdom builders we can have out there changing the world, the better. Let's go spread the gospel. Let's go be a people of abundance. Let's go make sure that we're not being Israelites or surrounding ourselves with Israelites that are grumbling, whining, complaining, right? Moaning about all the things that are bad and scarcity. Let's go show the world today that there truly is abundance everywhere we look. Even if we don't necessarily feel it at the moment, right? Change by the renewing of your mind. All right, you guys have a blessed day. Love you guys. I'll see you guys on the next call. Thank you, Aaron, for being here today. Thank you all for being here today, and we'll see you next time. Bye.